Welcome to UPLEVEL, Real Health, Real Talk with Dr. Jenna Blasi. I'm Dr. Jenna. I spent years crafting ways to help women thrive, and I want to help you do the same. On this podcast, we dive deep into health at every level, focusing on the mind, the body, and the spirit. This is where real conversations meet transformational wellness. We'll be talking about all the things that truly matter, from nutrition and fitness to lifestyle, mindset, and personal development. Plus, the real deal on managing stress and navigating menopause. So if you're ready to elevate your health journey with authentic, transformative insights, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to UPLEVEL, Real Health, Real Talk with Dr. Jenna. I am Dr. Jenna, and today we're going to dive into the topic of longevity. True longevity, not biohacking trends, not the noise on social media, not the 22-year-old man expert telling women to cold plunge their way into immortality, but things that will actually move the needle for women in midlife. First question I would ask you is, what does longevity mean to you? Because I think it means different things to different people. And when I think of longevity, we just did a class, a grand rounds in a group I'm with, the Confident Clinician Group, a fantastic group of practitioners. And we did a grand rounds on longevity, and we all were putting in the chat like what longevity means to us and what is health span and the idea of, adding more years to your life versus more life to your years. Because I don't think any of us want to have longevity and be debilitated or not enjoying ourselves, right? So it really is, for me, about aging as gracefully as possible and being ourselves, the best version of ourselves for longer. Not just about living longer, but being and staying ourselves. So your brain, your energy, your independence, your joy. So today I want to break down the real science of longevity, what matters, what doesn't, and exactly where midlife women should focus. Because we need a different framework. Most of the longevity conversations ignore women completely, especially women in perimenopause and menopause. And the truth is that most women live longer and experience more years of chronic disease, cognitive changes, bone loss, metabolic shifts. So when researchers talk about health span, they mean mobility, cognition, metabolic health, muscle mass, independence, mood, and emotional well-being. So for women, longevity is often about preventing the decline that is largely preventable. And this is with the right habits in our 40s, in our 50s, and in our 60s. Makes a significant impact for later. And so I do like to talk about optimizing. I do like to talk about thriving and how can you go to another level and how can you really thrive. But when we're looking at longevity, let's find our joy. Let's find a way to thrive, but we're also preventing decline so we can stay ourselves, our best selves, our brain, our energy, our health, etc. And this idea of prevention is actually where research is the strongest. When midlife women intervene early, outcomes decades later are significantly better. So I want to break this into like 6 pillars, let's say, of evidence-based longevity. Number 1, metabolic stability. This is the number 1 driver of healthy aging. Insulin resistance, glucose variability, and visceral fat predict cognitive decline, cardiovascular disease, earlier mortality, inflammation, energy instability. So for women in midlife, hormonal shifts amplify this metabolic vulnerability. So stabilizing your blood sugar, building muscle, and improving insulin sensitivity is foundational longevity work. We hear a lot of talk today about muscles and protein because that is number 2 on the list. Muscle mass plus strength. Muscle is the most powerful predictor of healthy aging. mobility, and independence. It is so important, and this matters so much in midlife, especially because without intervention, women are losing 3 to 8% of their muscle mass each decade after 30. Each decade after 30. And it's faster after menopause. And muscle mass protects your metabolism, your bones, cognitive aging, and sarcopenia is one of the strongest predictors of morbidity. So we do not want to be losing muscles. We need to be maintaining and building muscle if we can. And this is why protein, resistance training, and yes, even creatine matter long term. We've got metabolic stability, your muscle mass, and then there's brain health, number 3. Now, brain health is so important that my next episode is going to focus completely on cognitive decline and brain health. So on the positive, brain health, on the what we're trying to prevent, cognitive decline. Cognitive decline begins 20 to 30 years before symptoms. 20 to 30 years before symptoms. Women are at significantly higher risk of Alzheimer's, partially due to these like brain energy changes that happen around the menopause transition. So when we look at the biggest drivers of long-term brain health, it's sleep, insulin sensitivity versus insulin resistance, your vascular health, B12 and homocysteine status play in, vitamin D status, omega-3 intake, menopause timing and hormone changes, and just inflammation and stress load. And this is why I'm going to dedicate an entire episode on cognitive longevity. Number 4, cardiovascular health. Heart disease is the number one killer of women. Number one killer of women. We catch up to men around menopause. It's before menopause, the rates are higher in men, and then we catch up. So the main longevity wins for your cardiovascular health, lowering your LDL. Now, I know there's still a lot of talk out there in my profession and in the sort of social media space and natural health communities that lowering your LDL doesn't matter, that cholesterol is needed and it's healthy for us. There are mounds of evidence showing the importance of lowering LDL. Yes, we need cholesterol, but not in excess, right? We need water, but not in excess. And so LDL, there's a direct correlation between high LDL and cardiovascular events. And the longer it's been high, the increased risk. So there's like a cumulative effect as well. So lowering your LDL, the research is very, very clear on this decreasing your incidence of a cardiovascular event. Also, reducing inflammation, improving heart rate variability, reducing visceral fat, moving daily, sleep, stress management. Are we seeing any themes for the things that we've talked about over and over? Like these are the major longevity wins. And then we look at number 5, if we're doing this in my pillar system, stress, emotional health, and nervous system regulation, right? And I have several podcasts just on stress and nervous system regulation. One of the strongest predictors of biological aging is chronic stress and how your nervous system recovers from it. I wear an Oura ring. These things are not foolproof. They're not 100% accurate, but it's interesting to watch the feedback that I get when I'm stressed. And so it's really important how we're recovering from that stress. And women tend to carry mental load, emotional responsibility, caregiving, and then invisible stress, all of which are accelerating aging. Any of us that have gone through traumatic events or particularly stressful times in our life, we might feel like we look older. I suddenly look older. I feel older. And I know when my stress, like look when you come back from a vacation and you're rejuvenated and you look younger, people are like, oh my gosh, you're glowing. And so this really does affect us inside out. And longevity medicine is starting to recognize this, starting to recognize that your capacity to return to calm matters more than anything. When we've looked at, exercise over the years, recovery, right? The ability to recover shows your level of fitness. The quicker you can recover, the less rest, for example, you need in between sets, or the quicker you can recover in between intense workouts shows your level of physical ability. So when we look at nervous system regulation and emotional stress, your capacity to return to calm matters more than almost anything. And then number 6, let's look at the environment plus lifestyle basics. Lifestyle basics, simple things still dominate the data. Good sleep, daily movement, basic nutrition, avoid smoking, eliminate alcohol or decrease it. I recommend eliminating it, but you do you. Social connection and purpose. These are boring. I know they're not sexy. They're not sexy, right? Oh, basic nutrition. It's not like the biohacking sexy thing that everybody's trying to do. But they're the core. They are the core foundations of a long, meaningful life. So let's look at diet and supplements and what is actually proven, because there's so much information out there, right? And there's all these like sexy things for longevity. The strongest long-term data is on the Mediterranean and Mind diets, like period, every condition. They consistently reduce dementia risk, cardiovascular disease, mortality, and inflammation. And we don't have, I know my carnivore fans out there and the keto fans, but the research is really, really clear on this. Mediterranean and Mind diets are going to reduce your risk of dementia, and small changes drastically reduce. I wish I had a stat on that right now. Like I saw something about like lowering your saturated fat by even like 3% had like a 10 to 20% decrease in your cardiovascular risk. Do not quote me on that. And like try to remember what the stat was, because I didn't think to find it before getting on here with you. And so dementia risk, I think we all care about dementia, cardiovascular disease, mortality, like when you're going to die, and inflammation. These diets reduce consistently in the research. And the patterns that seem to matter the most are leafy greens, say 5 to 7 times a week, berries 2 to 3 times a week, olive oil as your primary fat, fish, if you eat fish, 1 to 2 times a week, legumes 4 times a week, nuts regularly, minimize saturated fat, and minimize ultra-processed foods. Now, if there's a high risk of cardiovascular disease for you based on your labs, family history, personal history, etc., I believe the recommendations are to keep your saturated fat under 11 grams a day. Under 11 grams a day. I eat a lot of chocolate. I also personally, I like Greek yogurt, and I like to mix in the non-fat with some full fat. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could get to 11 grams of saturated fat pretty quickly. So if this is an area of concern, meaning you have high LDL, you're at a high cardiovascular risk, you want to minimize your saturated fats and minimize, of course, ultra-processed foods. This nutrition pattern is going to improve your glucose control, inflammation, brain energy metabolism, vascular health, gut-brain signaling. So it's really important for our overall well-being. Okay, that's diet. Now let's talk supplements, because there are people spending thousands and thousands of dollars a month on supplements. I have kind of a 5 supplement rule personally, long term. I feel like if someone's on more than 5 supplements long term, maybe something deeper hasn't been addressed. And I am probably breaking my own rule personally right now. I'm thinking of the things that I'm currently taking. I go through different cycles. But in general, let's ideally get our vitamin D from the sun. Ideally, we're addressing sort of deeper imbalances. Let's improve the gut, so we're absorbing the nutrients from our foods. We don't need as many vitamins. But let's actually look at what is worth considering based on the best evidence that we have. Omegas, omega-3s, your EPA and your DHA for metabolic, vascular, and cognitive health. These come out pretty strong. Your omegas for metabolic, vascular, and cognitive health. B12, particularly if your levels are below 400 on labs, or your homocysteine is elevated. So we want to keep an eye on, is B12 too low? Is homocysteine elevated? And then B12 would be a supplement worth considering. If you're vegetarian or vegan, B12 is a supplement worth considering. Vitamin D for deficiency correction. So it's not for cognitive prevention per se, but if you're deficient in vitamin D, we want to correct that and make sure your vitamin D is in a good place. And then creatine for muscle, for sure for muscle. Creatine has been shown to help women with their mood. And so that's great. And also potentially for mild cognitive support. I believe the research on that one is a little less clear, but potentially could help with that. Now, some sort of emerging and promising data is on MCTs for early cognitive impairment and choline for brain health. And if we look at like pregnant women, you've got to make sure you're getting enough choline for that brain health development of the baby and maybe other things too. What is potentially not worth your money right now is most longevity stacks, right? Do all these things. So most longevity stacks are not going to be worth your money. Random anti-aging supplements without a mechanism that we know about or human data. Human data is important. And some of the other like biohacking things that everyone's saying, like if you want to go into that realm of all these other things, then just know that we don't know. We don't have the data. And so what I would say is if it sounds like hype, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. All right. But let's be really clear, like on what not to waste your money on. And this is where most women are misled. You don't need 50 ingredient longevity powders, okay? You don't need these $500,000 a month supplement stacks. The exotic peptides, most evidence is preclinical. So I'm going to just say maybe not right now, but again, like if you're in a place where you want to try lots of different things, that's sort of off-label and preliminary. Extreme fasting protocols. Ladies, please stop with the extreme fasting and the master cleanse and the drinking liquids for days. Not where you want to put your focus. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Cold therapy as a longevity intervention. And remember, we've talked about cold plunging and cold therapy before, and it's a completely different temperature range that's effective for women. And so be aware of that. It's a different ball game, so to speak, for women. And then constant tracking or monitoring. Like I said, I have an Oura ring. I do some tracking, but we can get obsessive about this. We can become so data driven that we're not really living our lives. We're putting all our energy into what the scale says and what my Oura ring says in the morning. And so I've seen people get obsessive about this. All right. So that's not where the answer lies either. It can give us good information. Data gives us information that can be helpful, but we don't want to be constantly tracking or monitoring, because the truth is that most longevity improvements come from stable habits, long-term stable habits, not hacks. So if you want to think like a longevity researcher, let's look at how you can look at things if you're maybe thinking of trying some things. And this could be, maybe a mindset shift that really shifts things for you. So we want to protect those middle years for sure. Longevity isn't about just adding a bunch of years at the end where we feel like crap. We want to protect the middle years so we feel good and we feel vibrant and we're our brains are strong and our energy is strong, et cetera. Our weight is where we want it to be in these years, in the longer years. So ask yourself, if you're looking at something, does this improve my metabolic health? Does this protect my muscle? Does this support brain energy? Does this improve sleep? Does this reduce inflammation? Does this reduce cognitive risk factors? Does this help me feel more like myself? And if the answer is yes, Great. It's a longevity intervention. And a lot of these things, I have episodes on reducing inflammation. We're going to do cognition next time, etc. But those are questions you can ask yourself. And if the answer is no, maybe it's just noise. Maybe it's just noise. Okay, so let's talk about actionable steps for my midlife women this week. Number 1, prioritize protein and strength training. So this is we'll call it our longevity starter pack. Number 1, prioritize protein and strength training. The goal is approximately 100 to 120 grams of protein per day. Adjust this for your body size. I've broken down protein requirements other places, but roughly maybe 120 grams of protein a day. Strength training 2 to 3 times a week, and creatine 3 to 5 grams a day if you're lifting. I love creatine. I'm a fan. The research is good for creatine. Again, it's not your cure-all miracle. We don't really know for the cognitive piece, but for the muscles, yes. So 3 to 5 grams daily if you're lifting. Number 2, improve your metabolic baseline. So again, I want you to just look at these and look at where you can start. Number 1, is there somewhere in there that you can focus on? Number 2, improve your metabolic baseline. Pick one of these, just one, okay? Reduce added sugar. Add 10 to 15 minutes post-meal walks into your, so after dinner, go walking for 10 to 15 minutes. After lunch, go walking. So just add in a 10 to 15 minute post-meal walk. Eat protein first at meals. Eat protein first at meals, like before you go to a holiday dinner or do a thing, like have a solid breakfast, have your fiber, have protein. So eat protein first at meals, and then increase fiber, 25 to 30 grams a day minimum. 25 to 30 grams per day minimum. So choose one of those. Number 3, eat like the mind diet. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you might already be there, but if you're not, then do it imperfectly. Eat like the mind diet. So maybe add 1 extra serving of greens. Add 1 extra serving of greens. Maybe add berries twice this week. Switch olive oil to your primary fat instead of butter or whatever else you're using. Number 4, sleep as a longevity strategy. It's a longevity strategy. So protect your 7 to 9 hours. It's really important. Have a consistent wake time, ideally a consistent go to bed and consistent wake time, and be in a dark, cool room. I like a cold room personally, but a dark, cool room. Number 5, support your brain. So ask your practitioner about your B12, about your homocysteine, about your vitamin D, your insulin resistance. We've got to check your insulin to look at your insulin resistance. And a lot of docs are just checking fasting glucose, maybe your hemoglobin A1C. So check for insulin resistance. And I didn't get into this today, but your ApoE4 testing, if indicated, that increases your risk for Alzheimer's. So knowing that you have that genetic variant might shape the supplements you choose and the different choices that you make throughout this time frame. And I didn't mention, I would ask your provider, a menopause hormone expert provider, preferably if hormone therapy might be right for you. Because the earlier you start it, the closer to menopause. It can even be started in perimenopause. There are a lot of potential benefits for longevity, starting it as close to that menopausal window and that other window that we've talked about of under 60. So I have all other episodes on MHT, but that is something worth exploring potentially for your well-being and supporting your body and mind through this phase. Okay, regulate your nervous system. So choose one practice daily. So again, you can choose one of these 6 steps and one of these bullets within the 6 steps. And then when you've got that dialed in, add another. And then when you've got that dialed in, add another, right? So this isn't meant to overwhelm you. So number 6, regulate your nervous system. So choose one daily practice, 5 deep breaths, maybe a 5-minute walk, maybe sunlight in the morning. I love sitting outside in the sunlight in the morning with my tea or my coffee. And if I've been in front of my computer too long during the day, that's a great reset for me. Just go outside. Boundaries around overwork. That's a good one. Boundaries around overwork, and schedule rest. Schedule rest into your life. Schedule breaks into your life. Longevity, like everything else that we talk about, is not about perfection. It's not about hacking your biology. It's about weaving these small but powerful habits into this phase of life where it matters most. I mean, if you're in your 30s, get going. Yeah. If you're younger, great. But especially 40s, 50s, and 60s, if you haven't dialed these things in, we got to start adding them. It is a crucial time. And women's longevity is its own field. And you deserve research, you deserve strategies and support that reflect your biology, your lived experience, and your goals. Like, what do you want from your life? That's why I love Dr. Stacy Sims, who has dedicated everything to research in women. Her tagline is "Women are not small men," because it's like so much of the research is on men. So I really appreciate the work that she does. All right. So thank you so much for joining me. So grateful to have you all here. Next episode, we're going to dive straight into one of the most important and often misunderstood aspects of longevity, and that is your brain. Your brain. What protects it, what accelerates decline, and what women need to know early, right? What you need to implement now. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please share it with a friend. So grateful to have you all here. We have an exciting month in December. We're doing this longevity. We're going to do brain health. And then we're going to get into ending the year strong and starting the new year with momentum. So thank you all again. So grateful. Please share this and leave us a review if you loved it. 5-star review, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you for joining me on this episode of UPLEVEL, Real Health, Real Talk. I hope today's conversation inspired you to take the next step in your health journey, one that nourishes not just your body, but your mind and spirit as well. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you found value in today's episode, please leave a review. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep thriving. And remember, true wellness is a journey, and you are on the right path.